Welcome to the Leadership Buzz with Lloyd Buzz Buzzle, ICF credentialed coach and retired Air Force officer. This podcast is for leaders who want to align behavior with values and grow in self-awareness. Each episode, one book, one idea, one story, and 3 coaching questions. Work hard, tell the truth. Here's Buzz.
Hey, welcome back. I appreciate you continuing to listen to the Leadership Buzz. I've been enjoying the production and making of it, and we press forward. This is where we really slow down and think about the things that make us better leaders. Today, we're looking at a simple but powerful idea. The small things we do every day matter. Leadership usually isn't built in one big moment. It's shaped through the choices, habits, and disciplines repeated over time. Today, TJ will bring us lessons from Admiral McRaven's Make Your Bed, and a reminder that sometimes changing the world starts with something right in front of us. TJ, tell us about the book.
Today on the Leadership Buzz, Buzz explores Make Your Bed by Admiral William H. McRaven. The book grew from McRaven's powerful 2014 commencement speech at the University of Texas, where he shared 10 lessons learned from Navy SEAL training and a lifetime of service. In this short but impactful book, McRaven explains how simple actions, like making your bed, represent something much bigger: discipline, resilience, teamwork, and the small choices that prepare us for life's greatest challenges. Here is Buzz for this week's episode.
I think about what I love about Admiral McRaven's message is the simplicity. Make your bed. It almost sounds too simple. When people think about leadership, we tend to think about the big things. The big speech, a major decision, the crisis, the moment where everyone is watching. But I think one of the biggest lessons from this book, which is quite short, is that leadership usually isn't built in those moments. Leadership is built long before those moments. It's built quietly. It's built repeatedly. It's built when nobody is paying attention. And then someday, when the big moment arrives, people see what has already been built. That moment doesn't create the leader. The moment reveals the leader. When I think back over my career, I don't necessarily think about one big moment that made me a leader. I just think about those thousands of small moments and all those leaders that were showing me the way forward. Like showing up on time, being prepared, doing the work, taking responsibility and being willing to step forward when it was necessary. You know, you take the hard shift when it's necessary before others even speak up. Those things don't always feel important when they're happening, and nobody taps you on the shoulder usually and says, hey, remember this moment. This is where your character is being developed. Because it is. Every small choice is teaching you something about yourself, and others see that too. Early in my career, I really thought throughout my career, I always had a mindset of, if there's something that needs to be done, step toward it. Don't step away from it. If there was a task, I wanted to help. I wanted to be in the mix. If there was a hard shift that needed to be covered or a hard alert, I wanted to be willing to take it. If there was a problem, I want to move toward the problem and help. And it wasn't because I was trying to prove anything. It was because I never wanted someone to look back and think, Buzz thinks he's above that, or is using his rank or position, or he's trying to weasel himself out of that so he doesn't have to do the hard stuff anymore. Because I find one of the interesting things about leadership is the higher you move up, the easier it becomes to separate yourself from the work. You get a title, you get an office, a position, even a coffee cup. And slowly, if you aren't careful, you start believing certain things are below you. I never wanted that. Because leadership is not about moving away from service. Leadership should move you closer to service. I always looked at it this way. At the end of the day, I was getting paid the same. I'm still getting a paycheck, and that didn't change whether I was on day 1 as an airman or the very last day as a colonel. And that didn't change whether I stepped forward or stepped back. And my rank didn't disappear because I helped or because someone helped me. My authority wasn't weakened because I was willing to do something difficult. Actually, I think the opposite happens. When people see you're willing to serve, trust grows. People notice. When they see you willing to do the small things, credibility grows. When people see consistency over time, character shows.
Buzz, do you think people actually notice those small things?
I think they absolutely do. Maybe not immediately. Maybe nobody notices the first time, or they don't notice maybe by the 10th time. But over a long period of time, and especially over years, people absolutely notice patterns. They notice who shows up, who volunteers, who's complaining, and they notice who disappears when things get difficult. They notice who makes things better. Your reputation is really just your repeated behaviors over time, and people notice that. And that can be challenging because we all want to be judged by our intentions. But people experience our actions. They just don't see it and as we wanted them to see it. They don't see what we meant to do. They see what we consistently do. I think back to leaders I admired, and those are ones who impacted me the most. Weren't always the smartest person in the room, although a lot of them were pretty smart. They weren't always the loudest. They weren't always the person with the most impressive title. They were the people who lived what they talked about, the people who said the mission mattered and then acted like the mission mattered, the people who said people mattered and then treated people like they did matter. That alignment is powerful with values. And I think that's where this connects so much with coaching. In coaching, we spend a lot of time exploring what do you want to become, what are your values, what do you align with, what matters to you. But then really the harder question is, do your daily actions support that? Because values are easy to put down on paper, and organizations do it all the time. Think back to like Enron. I mean, we look at integrity, teamwork, respect, excellence. Those words look really great. But the real question is, where do those values show up on a random Tuesday afternoon or Saturday morning at 2 a.m. when you're tired, frustrated, and nobody's watching? That's where character is built. Work hard, tell the truth. That phrase means so much to me because both of those things happen in the small moments. You don't suddenly become someone who works hard when the big opportunity arrives. You practiced it. You don't suddenly become someone people trust when a difficult conversation appears. You practice telling the truth in small moments, and then the small moments prepare you for the big moments. And let me just say something about work hard. It's just not about putting in more hours. If that was the case, that would be pretty easy. But we're talking about resilience. That's talking about bouncing back. That's about coming back from disappointment and failure and getting back up and putting your nose to the grindstone. Yeah, it's about working hard, but it's a lot more than that in life.
So, Buzz, how does someone start building that?
I think it starts exactly where Admiral McRaven says, something small, because small things create momentum. And more importantly, small things create identity. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you're telling yourself, I am someone who follows through. Every time you step forward, you're telling yourself, I'm someone who serves. Every time you take responsibility, you're telling yourself, I'm someone others can count on. Over time, those small choices become who you are. I just wanted to read a small excerpt out of a book from Admiral McRaven. And it's talking about every morning we are required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in the light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride and encourage you to do another task and another and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that little things in life matter. And if by chance you don't get anything right, you'll come home to a bed that's made and at least one task that's completed. I think one of the mistakes we make with leadership is thinking someday we will arrive. Someday I'll become a leader. I'll develop discipline. I'll have courage. But we are becoming something right now. Every day, every decision, each interaction, we're practicing something. If I avoid responsibility, I'm practicing avoiding responsibility. If I blame others, I'm practicing blame. If I step forward, I'm practicing leadership. And this is why making your bed matters, not because the bed changes the world, but because the discipline changes you. And that standard changes you. The commitment changes you. And then you influence the world around you. Because people are always watching. That means your kids, teammates, coworkers, the people you lead. Everybody watches those small things. And over time, these small things tell a story, the story of who you are, what matters to you, and how you lead. Because small things are never just small. Small things become habits, and habits become character, and character becomes leadership. And I truly feel that leadership and your character isn't like a light switch. In the hard, tough crisis, you're not going to be able to turn that light switch on. Because first off, you haven't built that character. You haven't built that necessary information and credibility behind it. And when you come into that, you're going to fall into your habits already that you have developed. And I want to reemphasize here too, again, as I said before, it's just not about work harder or do more. That's not the point. The point isn't becoming the person who does everything. The point isn't becoming the person who never asks for help. Actually, great leaders understand they need a team, and everybody fits in on that team, and they're just fulfilling that role as a leader. The point is the mindset. Am I moving towards service, or am I moving toward comfort? How does that work for you? Because people can tell the difference. They see it every day. They can tell when a leader steps in because they genuinely care, not just because it's like checklist leadership. They can tell when a leader is willing to be inconvenienced for the good of the team. Are you staying late when somebody else stays late to support them? Are you making sure that they can have a way home when they might have a ride later after work? They can also tell when a leader believes the rules change because they got promoted. I did see this through my career sometime, and every organization has people who are technically in charge. There's title authority, and their name is on the org chart, but people follow them because they have to. Then there's other leaders, the ones people follow because they want to. The difference is often built through years of small moments. Someone's always watching, as we talked about before. The newest person on the team is watching, and that's helping inform them how to be a leader. They're trying to figure out what leadership looks like while they're watching. The person deciding what kind of leader they want to become is really watching you. Who are those people that work for you or around you, and are you exhibiting those things for them? Whether we realize it or not, we are always teaching. And if they see a leader step forward when something difficult needs to be done, that teaches something. If they see a leader say, "That's not my job," that teaches something too. Both examples leave a lesson. And I think this is especially important for new leaders. Sometimes we wait for permission to lead. We wait for the promotion, title, position, but leader starts long before anyone gives us a title. The person who shows up on time is leading, who helps a teammate, takes responsibility when nobody asks. Those are small choices preparing you, because someday, when the big opportunity arrives, people are not asking, can this person become a leader? Many times they're saying, we already know who this is, because they've been watching all along. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode, but I do want to emphasize one other thing, and that's about human struggles. And Admiral McRaven talks about it in his book. He says, your gender doesn't matter, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and the world around us, will apply equally to all. I truly believe that. The more I see in our world, the more I notice that the human struggle and the same problems for everybody, regardless of social wealth or material wealth, are the same. I think a lot about that as I volunteer and try and have some type of impact on our current world situation.
Coach Buzz, can you give us this week's 3 coaching questions for our listeners?
For this week's 3 coaching questions, what are the small things you do when no one is watching that reveal who you really are? What would the people closest to you say your repeated actions communicate about your values, and what does that look like? And finally, what legacy are your habits building one day at a time for you? How does that look?
That was today's episode from Make Your Bed by Admiral William H. McRaven. What began as a powerful commencement speech became a short book filled with lessons on discipline, resilience, teamwork, and leadership. As Admiral McRaven shares, making your bed is about more than starting the day with a completed task. It is a reminder that the little things matter, because if you can't do the little things right, you'll struggle to do the big things right. Leadership is built through the small choices, habits, and standards we practice every day, often when no one is watching. This week, ask yourself, what small action can I take today that will help shape the leader I want to become? Buzz, over to you.
Thanks for listening to the Leadership Buzz. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. And if you have a moment, leave a rating or review. That helps other leaders discover the show. If these kinds of leadership questions resonate with you and you'd like to explore them more deeply, feel free to reach out to me. Coaching conversations often start exactly this way. Until next time, work hard, tell the truth.